Hello, heathens.
Hello, Aidens.
How's everybody's week been? How's your week been?
Happy solstice.
Yes, happy
It'll be
solstice.
a week later when you get this, but it's solstice.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, still happy solstice.
It's been good, but hot. Hot. I like it. I'm doing adult mundane things like changing my oil today. I mean, I'm not personally doing it. I have a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole team. I take it to their office and they do the stuff and then I
They,
bring it home. It's
yeah,
fine.
they do the roar, they do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bless and favor the gods of the car.
World.
Whatever. Right.
Yep.
Yep. I need it. I need it to be run. I need it to run.
I have to say, the only thing that I love about how the heat and the rain we've been getting is my garden. She's very lush. I, t
Leash.
I tell her,
Shiver.
I'm like, you're
Well,
very
and
lush.
you didn't have to like do anything either. It's great.
No,
Like
yeah,
Mother Nature watered it for you and
it's been so nice. I like walk out in
mm-hmm.
the morning and I'll be like, it's supposed to rain. Oh, see, that's gonna rain, or that the garden's still nice and moist. And I'm like, hell yeah. This is so nice.
Hell yeah.
It's been so great. Everything's growing and I feel so accomplished. I feel like an adult.
I've got two projects on my list. Rob had went out and cured a hedge trimmer that I have wanted.
Yay.
And it's battery operated, so when I go out front, I don't have to have like a cord or find a cord or anything like that. And I'm very excited to use it.
That's exciting.
I'm cutting everything down.
Everything's getting a shaping, a reshaping.
I'm haircutting my whole yard. And then, so one of my friends had a flood in their basement.
Oof.
And you and I know that like your house is like a extension of you or a reflection of you, if you will. So I thought about it for a minute and I was like, oh, that's right. And I'm like, I think the basement is your subconscious, like your attic is your thoughts, water is emotions. So I did my Google search and came up with a article and I sent it to him. But as I was watching it or reading it, right underneath basement was attic and attic's your thoughts. So I like went up to the attic and was like, this is what my head looks like.
Yeah.
This is unacceptable.
We gotta get this shit in order.
I was like, I need shelving units. We have to organize all of this. We have to get rid of the trash. Because the really cool thing about it is like if you want to reorganize your brain, this is the best physical manifestation where you can link, it's already linked. So this is a good physical way to straighten this up.
Yep. Have you started the attic?
I did a little bit, yeah.
Yay.
It got hot.
Yeah, because you don't get air up there, right?
Mm-mm. I was like, all of a sudden, it was just like,
It's like getting into the 90s in Michigan and
oh
whoo,
yeah,
baby,
that
she
would be like,
humid.
she being roasted. She's
She
gonna she's gonna
she
need
gonna
some onions and some carrots and some potatoes, and we're gonna put her in,
she gonna
and
be
we're gonna
looking
wait.
pruny and and moist. She's got a
Moist
nice layer of glistening moisture.
glow.
Yeah,
She's
it's just glow.
glowing. I'm melting, ma'am, melting.
Yeah, it has felt like walking into a sauna.
Hmm.
I'm trying to tell myself I like it, but then if I'm out in it too much, I'm like, I don't like it.
No, I've accepted and realized that I am a polar bear, and I can't with this. I would rather it be cold.
I do love the winter. Yep, me too. I I'm definitely a winter girl, a fall winter. It's where it's at. I will say I have enjoyed the storms we've been getting. Those have been really nice.
Absolutely. Those are nice.
We're getting like the big bangy ones that like sound like
Mm-hmm.
they're right outside your window.
I'm like, yes, I call down the power of the sky.
It's just so nice. I'm like, oh, that was a good one.
That's a good one. That's
I
a good
like
one.
it. But yeah, it's been hot as balls, man. Oof.
What are we working on today, Cassie?
So we're talking about some more mystical creatures that we haven't talked about before in folklore. Um, and a couple of them that we're talking about for sure are familiars and church grims. There's some interesting. I love looking this stuff up, and I hope you guys love hearing this stuff because, I mean, I know the idea of what they are, right? And I have like a, an understanding, quote unquote, for a better lack of terms. But then you look this shit up and you learn all this stuff that you're just like, I didn't know this. It's so
Mm-hmm.
freaking cool. Like just some of the things that I've found today, and I'm excited to hear what you found. Because the one thing you told me, I was like, what the hell? That's so cool. Like it's just cool stuff. So, um, one thing I would like to say that we talked about before we started the podcast today too is that there's just a million different routes you can go with everything. And in my opinion, nothing's really wrong or right. So when we talk about things today, like when I was looking at familiars, there was just a lot of different routes you can take yet again, where there's different beliefs behind it, different, I guess you could say cultures or um different folklore for different cultures. And it was super interesting to
Yeah,
read.
I think as we go forward, we want to be able to open our mind to a certain entity or energy can have multiple names and meanings because depending on the religion, the folklore, the demographic, the people, it's all going to mean different things to different people.
Yeah.
One type of person might think something is evil and they ward themselves from it, where another class of people honor and adore it. And both are okay, right?
Yes.
Like both are okay. Like as long as one's not trying to push their stuff onto others, it's okay. Like,
Well, and
well,
honestly, that's the whole reason you guys listen to us too. That's why we're called heathens for the people,
heathens.
because heathens are people who don't belong to a widely held religion. We always say this, and I'm gonna say it again. We believe in everything and nothing all at the same time. So it's like we're constantly changing as we find something new or like a new comes up and we like express it to each other and we like sit on it and then more thoughts come up. It's just like we're always, I guess, like learning and thinking and just trying to go with the flow of our own like path,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we're just encouraging everybody else to do that too.
Well, because if everything is God and God is everything, then none of it's technically bad or wrong.
Right.
God made everything. Universal force made everything. Whatever name you want to put on it, um, it's just what you want to, it's all up to you, I guess, on what you want, what you find pleasurable, growth or whatever. It's up to you.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah. So keep that in mind today because we got a lot of concepts behind some of these. Like I found like three or four different concepts for familiars, which I find so funny. Guess for again, better lack of term. I find it funny because I'm always like, God, there's just like every time we look something up or we're going into research, I'm like, there's about 20 different ways we could go with one thing.
Well, yeah, that's especially with familiar. As soon as you like, or as soon as I looked it up, it was like all these, uh, I don't actually know. It's very Christian descent, I guess. almost maybe a little more if they take the Bible literally instead of metaphorically. And they were like, these are monitoring spirits, these are evil, they're there to watch you. They're and I was like, oh.
Malevolent entities is what I read. I love that too.
Yeah.
I just love those two words together. Malevolent makes me think of Maleficent.
Entity.
Entity. Yeah,
So
because like,
even well,
oh,
these are
go
the
ahead.
same people that say don't contact a necromancer or a witch or a medium because they're not actually talking to your dead grandpa. They're what they believe, and I'm not saying they're wrong either until I look more into it or get like my own witness of it. But what they say is that they're contacting this familiar spirit or this monitoring spirit, and they are not from divinity, but they because they've watched your family for so long, that's how they know what's been going on or how to be like your grandpa or whatever, like something like that.
Mm,
I don't know if I necessarily I just don't know enough and I haven't studied it enough and I haven't experienced it enough to argue this either way.
yeah, me
Do
neither.
I automatically think it's going to be bad and harmful? I don't know, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's just the way they're looking at it. They've almost put all familiar spirits in the trash.
Yeah, yes, yes. Sorry, I had to glitch for a second there. I agree with that
So,
because it's like that you here's the thing is when we talk about all these entities, we talk about these like mystical creatures, whatever the hell you'd really love to call them. It's just that your first-hand account with something is always going to be different than what you think it's going to be. Now, could it be similar? Yeah, sure. You might be spot on with what you think it is, but then you could have a similar experience with something that looks is technically called the same thing. Because again, we talked about this in the last episode. I think it was the last, no, it was 2 episodes ago. What did H.P. Lovecraft say? That has been my she's burned in there. We put human concepts, human laws, human physics, human all these human characteristics on beings, things that we can't really touch, taste, feel. And that we try so hard to make it make sense. And so I mean, sometimes that's gonna get tested, you know?
well, and it should, it should get tested. Like this isn't
Hmm.
easy and it's not something you should be playing around with, right? Like
Yeah.
it should be tested. This is why we study so much, though, is because when we are faced with something that is unseen and we don't necessarily know if it's a true form or if it's a shapeshifter or it's just somebody kind of playing as, unless you have the gift of sight. But even then, they can, like, Fae are very good at making illusions and they're very
Illusions.
illusions and it's very easy for them to make your site seem different
Yeah.
so than what it really is. So this is why you really want to study the lore and in multiple like regions and stuff because what you're going to find is a commonality or a pattern between all of them. And those are what you're going to be like, oh, like if we go into a haunted house and we're like, well, it's acting like this, but it's showing itself like this, you can kind of like move towards what you really kind of think it is. And,
Yes.
instead of like guessing or guessing wrong, like, oh, that's not a demon, that's your Aunt Betsy. She's just really grumpy.
You're Aunt Betsy.
So
Yes.
that we can
Oh,
at least, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, please go ahead. We can at least what?
Oh, we can at least get the right protocol of what we need to do of either soothing, finding out what it wants, asking questions, the right questions and stuff like that. So that way you can have back to a peaceful house.
Yes. Yes. So the whole point is don't take anything too fucking serious. Anything we say, look it up your damn self. That's the point.
Nobody's going to do this shit for you.
No.
Like you have to look it up. And it's not, I know it's overwhelming. I get it. I get it. But you just keep going on, like, all right, today we're doing familiars. Tomorrow I'm looking up angels scores, like, or studying what a demon actually is. So I can have a idea in my head instead of somebody feeding me what they think a demon is.
Yes.
And then this
Yes.
will bode well when you want to debate it. If you get somebody that's like, no, demons are bad. And, what I see out there is people are going, what are you, stupid? And it's like, how is this helpful that we talk to each other this way? Like, have you ever changed your mind when somebody has come to you and told you that you were stupid and that you needed to think about it like this? No, you in, right? So don't, if you study, and this goes for anything, if you study it enough where you know it, then you can debate a subject and this will help you know it better, or it will change your mind on like and put it in your arsenal. It's not that you're bad or wrong, it's just the fact that like maybe there's a different interpretation and then you can take that under, or it sparks something else that like helps you get to a stronger understanding of it.
Yeah, and the more that I feel like you gain knowledge and the more that you get all of this like in your arsenal, the less you kind of care, I will say. Like one of my favorite things to watch and to feel like their emotions on is when somebody's getting really heated about something and they're like, well, I just don't think I believe that. And you go, okay, that's okay. Like, and you genuinely mean like, that's okay, like, cool. And it's like a confusion that strikes almost of like, wait, what? Because it's like, it's okay. Like, what does that mean? It's like, I genuinely, it's okay that you believe that. Like, I'm totally cool with that, you know? It's,
Right, right.
but that like feeling that you get because you have all this backed up stuff for yourself, it's like really nice because it's like almost like you don't anger about other people's opinions anymore because they're their opinions and like, who are you to change it?
Well, yeah, because there's no, but just because I believe something that contradicts what you believe doesn't make mine or yours wrong.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yep. That feeling is where I feel like true power starts to strike because you feel so good about it because you're not doing it also in a dismissive way. You know what I mean? You're not
Hmm.
dismissing that their opinion's wrong and so it's okay that you have that stupid opinion. No.
Well, no, it's more like, and I don't mean like this as a negatory way, but it's more like a child. Like, if you haven't studied, why am I going to argue with you?
Yeah,
If
that happens a
if
lot.
yeah, I've dedicated a lot of hours to my practice, and
Mhm.
I still feel like an infant. Um, but it's, um, that's the whole thing. That's what gives you the sovereignty of like, oh, it's like if you don't believe in ghosts, that's okay.
Yeah, that's totally great.
You probably didn't meet one. And or if you did, it didn't bother you or something like that. Like it's
Yeah.
okay, right?
Yeah. It feels good. That's like another
Hmm.
thing that I hope you guys get to experience one day is like sovereignty is is a great word for it. The sovereignty behind knowledge. It's just comfy. It's really comfy.
Yeah, it's well, and that's the whole thing. And just be open to like this has really helped me to open up too, because you never know when you're gonna get a little more tidbit of like, even though maybe the conversation is going the way you want, or you feel like it's not really your conversation, sometimes just stopping and listening and seeing what's actually being projected at you helps you understand something a little more deeper too.
Yeah, 100%. Or it sparks a question that you then get to go and research,
Mm-hmm.
which I do love when that happens too, because I'm like, shit, I haven't thought about that. You know, it might be something that's so off the wall and so against like what you think you believe in. Because I always say, I think I believe in that.
Right. It's like maybe.
But it's like it could just spark such a big question because you're like, didn't I've never thought about that, you know? Okay, so familiars. You ready to get into it, buddy?
Yes, I am.
So, here's some of the things that I had read that were all kind of different, but they were very interesting. So, like, one of the accounts had said that familiars can be traced back to the Middle Ages in Europe during that time, familiars were often perceived as malevolent entities, fun, believed to be demons or evil spirits that had taken form of animals. Love that. And then in another part of the world, they were seen as signs of divine intervention or protectors against evil forces. Two very opposite ends of the spectrum here. You're either a devil or, a protector. So we
Well, because so basically what I saw was in Christianity, they had, especially back at that point in time, they had taken anything that was not of God and called it a demon. And they didn't care about whether you were like a demon or a Greek god or all that kind of stuff. Like they just put it all into the demon category.
yeah. Yep.
So what we're finding, because a lot of it was protected spirits, like elementals and fae and thought forms and entities like that, they are, because they're not of divinity, they're of either human or elemental energies.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess I just don't know what they were actually. Technically, I guess they're all thought forms, but does that make them from human? But and then humans have divine spark, so like, isn't it technically from God anyway? I don't know. Okay, so that's a whole. Sorry, that was a rabbit
It's
hole that I
okay.
just went down.
Well,
Anyway, so for this topic, it's fine. But they taken those spirits and automatically said that they were bad and wrong.
Well, yeah, and a lot of the depictions from this era too were heavily influenced from witch trials, like all across
Mm-hmm.
Europe. So witnesses were
Mm-hmm.
claiming to see familiars in the forms of dogs, a hare, a black cat, and that would aid them in the accusing of a witch. And then those having those presidents or those presents, like, oh, she had a black cat that follows her around. That was viewed as like absolute proof. There's no question, unquestionable proof of their pact with the devil. Because, like, what did you tell me earlier was another proof of the devil?
Oh, a mole. If you had a mole on your skin, on your body, they said that that was the teat of like how you would feed your familiar or your demon. Like that's how they got substance and stuff. And it's like, God, I would definitely have died because, like, could you imagine?
Yeah,
It's
no.
it's a mole. It grew there. Like, I don't know.
You had a pact since you were born.
Right. Well,
So now on the flip side of that, there was also the view that familiars were spirits of land or nature, and they connected the witch or the wizard to elemental powers. And they were seen as like guides, teachers, and partners in magical workings rather than evil entities.
hmm.
And now, in a modern depiction in witchcraft, familiars are seen as entities that guide and assist witches in their magical workings. They're like companions and allies in a witch's spiritual and magical journey. So, like in spellcasting rituals, a witch could call upon their familiar to channel like a specific energy or to like safeguard the ritual,
Yes.
which
We
so
just
cool.
got we got to be careful because we don't want to water this down too much because the whole thing is like we if we start saying that familiars are going to be good and they don't care about how you treat them and all that kind of stuff, like if you're going to go in thinking they're a gentle source of energy, um you will find out as soon as you lax on your duties, of this. Like it's like cultivating a garden or a friendship. And as soon as you lax on those duties, you will know about it. Like stuff will start breaking, things will happen, things will start moving around the house, like
It's
because you have to feed it, you have to have a home for it, you have to have it's not something that's just like, oh, I can sit it and forget it. It's not like a tchotchke.
yeah, it's good. It's just kind of like a pet.
Yeah.
You can't like let your cat go without food for days on end without it like getting mad at you and crying
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
scratching at your door, whatever, whatever. I don't know. I've never gone without feeding the cats because the minute that they
Right.
know it's the day for food, like because I feed them every 2 days, they just graze. They're mad and they yell at me as soon as I get up and they're like, "Hi, food. We need more food in the bowl. Hello, hi." And I'm like, "I know. I'm going right to your bowl."
And they will eat your face.
Yeah. Um. So I also read that in some traditions, a familiar is viewed as a spiritual entity that the witch can call upon for assistance or guidance. And that these spirits may have a special connection with the witch through ancestral lines, past life connections, or like shared affinities. They're thought to provide wisdom, insight, and protection during magical workings, enhancing the witch's abilities and strengthening their connection to the spirit world.
Yes, because they can also do messages from the spirit world or delivering messages to it's somewhat of like uh, who is it? Jason Miller. I was just reading his book earlier today, and they were talking about it's almost like if you call Amazon up and you're like, I had a problem with my packages, and I know Jeff Bezos. So like clearly if you use the fact that you like know Hecate, but you're talking to a lower spirit, one that's closer to us and not closer to God, then it's like saying that you know Jeff Bezos when you're talking to the customer service. Like clearly if you actually knew Jeff Bezos, you would have a closer connection to like you would have a private number. You know
Yeah,
what I
you wouldn't be
mean? Like
calling freaking Amazon
you wouldn't be
support.
calling, yeah, what everybody else. So like when you do that kind of stuff, like um you're like, oh, well, I know God. And it's like, well, so what this does with the familiar, it kind of gives you that own personal like messenger to like bridge the gap. And it'll be if you're working with a certain type of Patreon or God or whatever, like you want to, it would be a closer because the familiar knows you and God.
Hmm.
So they're a good intermediate to get whether it's your requests or your desires or whatever accomplished.
Well, and I feel like too, when it comes to the wisdom part, if it is a past life connection that this familiar has followed you through to this lifetime too, they're gonna have wisdom of your past life too and mistakes you could have made to where you can get guidance and insight on certain things too.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Yeah.
That way you're not going down the wrong path.
Right. Or like if you're like really like, because like sometimes you get that feeling that knowing that you need it, there's something you need to know and you can't see it, or you've been in this position before and you want to know like what's the right path, you're like stressing out about it. That's when you could go and try to get these questions answered
Mm-hmm.
of like, what do you think? I need guidance. Like, yeah, I need your wisdom. Help. I
Help.
need an adult.
Well, and I guess that would be more of like if you were going to contact your guardian angel. Um the rituals that I'm doing, which is basically kind of like your higher self without all the impurities. Oh, please, I don't know where I'm going. I know it's chapter 10, but I don't know what. Okay. This helps when I know where I'm going. Um, so I don't necessarily, I guess I just, in my head, for something a little more, not to say that familiars don't have wisdom and stuff. And if it's a familiar that you definitely have, like from a family lineage or your own past life lineage, like that's a very interesting concept because I almost would put an angel or um a saint or like Hecate or something like that, maybe with some with a broader view, with just like familiars seem so close to the earth to me that they would be more of earthly wisdom, I guess. Uh and of course I don't, that's just how like how I feel about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they're more like mundane and to do tasks to do tasks. They want to be told what to do
Well,
in
yeah, and this
some.
is just a different belief of like them providing, because you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? This was just in a different tradition of Wiccan. They believe that there's like this, like they provide wisdom and insight and protection. So my thought process too is like, I wonder if that is what we would believe a different entity coming to them in the form of that. Like it looks like what you would think a familiar looks like, so you think
Right,
it's a
right, right.
familiar.
Mm-hmm.
You go
Mm-hmm.
on saying where I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because that's the other thing is a lot of things like they call a familiar because of a lack of understanding. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like it's
yeah.
not an information gathering thing. They're like, oh, that's a familiar. And it's like, maybe, maybe it is. Because this is, again, this is why we study so much because we have no container. They don't have containers that they're in.
H.P. Lovecraft, we're trying to put human laws and concepts on a being that has no container. You can't put
There's no
it in a
container.
container because
No.
there's not a container for it.
Right, right. Yeah, like it's not definite this or definite that. It's like it's ever changing. It's how
It's like
you
a
believe. Yeah.
maybe.
Well, that's the thing is that I think this is why people don't necessarily like witchcraft and um wizardry and ceremonial magic and stuff like that is because you're supposed to govern yourself. You don't have, it's not like the, I must say this, but I don't mean it in a bad way, but it's not the church telling you what to do and how to pray and how to do this, right? It's, and that's okay. That is totally okay. Um, but with this, it's more of like, I have to, this is one thing, a hard lesson that we're learning right now in ceremonial magic is the fact that we have now been grouped into a big group because we've went from elementary to basically middle school and we have to have less hand holding now. So before they would give us the rituals and we would perform them. Well, those days are gone.
I feel like a better representation about that is high school to college. Because when you get into college, you have to manage your time, you have to do your own studying. You do not get hand holding. You don't get to be
That's
like,
true.
hey, could you help me revise this? Or like, can I like ask you to help me with this? And I can't figure this out. It's like, no, you need to figure it out. And if you can't figure out, you need to look for your own help outside of me as a professor.
You're totally right. And I didn't think about it like that. I thought about it more like there's so much more information that I need that we're not even to college. So I thank you for that because that actually is better. Because you're
You're,
right. It's like you're not getting this hand holding like you, but it's you're not out in the real world yet. Like I don't have a
yes,
job yet,
you
right?
don't
Like
have
I
a
don't have a
PhD
career.
yet.
Right, right. Like I'm not there yet, but yeah, we have to create our own ritual on the moon. We're studying the moon right now. So it's very,
I feel like you went from high school to now you're getting your associates. So then it's going to get harder because you're going to do your bachelor's. Well, then by the
Ugh.
time you're getting your master's, which is working on your PhD, there's not, you're actually kind of working for free under somebody and you have to provide everything on your own. You have to make this whole, what do they call that? Um, for like the end of your PhD, it's like a whole paper thing. I can't remember what it's called, but I think you know what I'm talking about, where it's like you did all your
A
own research,
dissertation.
dissertation. Then you're gonna have to do your own dissertation.
Oh, I fully think we are for
I bet
sure.
you are
I bet
too.
we are too. And I'm like, ugh,
You have officially graduated high school. You are officially working on your associates.
that is a fair statement.
Because I'm like, God dang, dude. She's,
God dang.
I was like, you're doing it though, buddy.
Here we are.
Yeah,
Can't go back.
seriously. So I did read that because to me, my understanding is the same as yours, that familiars are more like messenger spirits. They can help, you can have them help you with certain things, help you kind of protect things, help you like send information, get information. That's how my belief as well. So sticking along that belief, I also believe they come to you in the form of animals. I think it's like the easiest because they're like, think about like Harry Potter and they're like little messenger animals, like they're little, it's
Mm-hmm.
like they're little familiars. So I also thought it would be fun to talk about some of the symbolic meaning of some of the animals and
Mm-hmm.
like how that can help to determine like their role that they could play. So like cats, for example, they've been historically and constantly talked about with like mystery and independence. And like
Mm-hmm.
when you think about the supernatural, what's the first animal you think about? A black cat, at least for me. I'm like, yeah, black cat, witches, black cat.
Black cat or bats. Bats would be the other.
Bats would be
Although
another one.
vampires, so I don't know.
So, like another one is owls symbolize wisdom and knowledge normally, and they've been seen to act as guides for like deeper insight and truth. Foxes, they're cunning and they have adaptability. Spiders can be seen as like emblems of patience and destiny. So like I just think it's so cool to think about like the meaning behind an animal too. And like
Mm-hmm.
that can help you if say like you start seeing an animal in your dreams and it keeps coming to you, keeps coming to you. You can kind of like start looking it up, get the meaning of it, and like see what that animal specifically is there for.
Yeah, I do a lot of this when I'm out in the world. Like the other day, it was so weird. Saw a muskrat.
Ooh.
And I literally was at like a four-way intersection on Belleville Road in the service drive. And I was turning left to go onto the freeway. And across from me, right next to that Wendy's, there's just a little ditch, which there's got to be water in it, obviously, because like there's cacti, like cattails, sorry, not cacti.
I was like,
Uh
there's cactus? I was like, who planted that there? I was
sorry, cattails. And to me it was the same thing in my head.
mm-hmm.
Um and out comes there's cars there. I was having a heart attack because I saw this little creature come out and then like reassess its life. I'm like, it's because we're all stopped. And I'm like, if somebody goes, they're gonna run him over
Yep.
because that car doesn't even know he's there. Like, he just was like, "Dur, dur, 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 dur." And then he like finally caught a clue, I guess, and made new life choices and went back. And I was like, because I was like, go back, go back, go back, please go back, please go back, please go back. You're not safe.
Me with every animal ever on the road, even birds, I'm like, fly, take flight, take flight.
Or like I can't even from where my vantage point, like I would have to run across the street and like in the middle of a four-way, six-lane intersection. Like, no, there's no way I can get out to save this animal. There's no way.
You're like, I'm gonna use magic.
But I looked up muskrat On the way to Mara's house the other day, I saw a fox
Oh, cool.
just trotting along the what?
Cute.
Hey,
I love them. They're so cute.
he's like, "Doo, doo, 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 doo." I was like, oh my God, that's so cool.
It's like you're
Get in my car.
frolicking through the grass.
Frolicking.
Yeah, I think it's important to look up like many native animals you see, especially in dreams or in life where you're like that. When's the last time you saw a fox?
Last year.
Oh, well, okay.
Well, they were in the backyard. I saw two of them, and I believe that they were playing with my cats.
Yeah, you got some magical kitty cats, though. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, we're making friends with the foxes.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, look at our new friend.
Look at our new friend,
You're like, okay,
which
those ones we can keep.
absolutely, I'm excited about it. What else you
Um,
got? Because I look at birds too a lot of times. If I keep seeing birds,
especially when I see birds I don't see a lot, like
yeah.
one time, Bella and I were driving to work when we used to work at our old salon, and we were living up in Howell. So we were like 45 minutes away. And we were driving to work, and we're coming around 23 to get on 14 again. And I shit you not, a eagle
Oh, that's right.
flew down. I was probably, now I'm driving 70, we'll just say conservatively 75. We'll just say that. Round this corner, and this eagle swoops in front of my windshield to get this dead animal that my car is passing. I was probably mere inches away from hitting it. Also, did not realize how big eagles are in the wild. They're fucking huge. I
Huge.
was freaking out, and I'm like, shit like that? Yeah, I'm looking that up. Are you joking? Like,
Well, yeah,
I've
that
never
was
seen
like
an eagle
in
like that.
my face.
I
In my
was
face.
like,
Literally in my face.
I could have hit it. Do you know how? Oh, I just hitting animals is not a thing. No, we don't do
Well,
that. We slow
that
down.
one you would have had no choice. Like,
Oh, I know, and stuff like that, dude. How could you not look that up? Like, just you gotta.
hmm
The only other thing I really have on familiars is that I read somewhere that it's also believed that familiars are can be a living pet or animal that you feel like really a deep almost spiritual connection with, and through bonding and like shared experiences with the animal, the witch and their familiar form a relationship that aids in magical working so that they can still be around after, and they'll like stick around and work with you as well after.
yes.
But that's what I got for familiar. So let's hear what you got because you got a really cool ritual. I want you to tell the peoples.
Okay, so the little things that I got on familiars, and like I said, this comes with definitely a warning because if you want one, it's just like getting a dog or a cat, and you need to make sure that you are going to be able to um meet their needs. And then also is make sure you know how to banish them before you call one in because that would be important. So, um, you're gonna want to like get them a physical house that they stay in. And this is goes along with it could be soft stuff like feathers and fur. It could be any kind of vessel like a uh a jar, a skull, um any kind of container that you could um that could house something. Ow, ow, ow. Those are my legs. Um they were talking about entertainment, which I thought was cute too. So like knotted string is a good one. Pebbles and sand because they love to count and it keeps them busy. Anything that they can move, like little dangly bits or like a small compass or a watch or something. Like it depends. And you could meditate on this and like really hone in on like what would entertain them and what would please them and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you would have to give them offerings. Um, and ask permission. Now, some people force this to happen. I don't feel right about forcing anybody at this point. I haven't found anything I needed to force somebody to do something that I want them yet, right? Usually, if I ask, they are much obliged. It's not usually that I have to force something. And the only way I would force something, it would be like if you were in a house and it's disrupting the peace in that house. That's the only time I would use force.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you could use bells. Bells are cute. Anything with holes in it, shiny things. So what I found was this little ritual. It was a folk ritual, and you can look it up on YouTube. It's right there. Um, things that you wanted to gather was, and I because I love water, you know this.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so gathering water from a south flowing stream, and that is for healing. And then gathering water from an east flowing stream, and this will help to bring life to whatever you're doing in your spell work. Um, so you would, in this vessel, they had a skull that they were using for the actual spirit vessel. Don't fall and scratch me, please. Do you need a vessel? Are we gonna get you one? I'm gonna put you in a little jar with some of your favorite things. Also, if you find jars, don't open them.
Yeah, for real. Sometimes some shit you find needs to be left alone.
Leave it alone. Um, so then you would make a triangle and you would have fire at each point of those triangles, and you had a sting in the middle. And the sting has to be big enough so whatever vessel you have in it, so it can hold it up. And this is basically looks like a stick in the middle of the triangle, and the skull would go on top.
Hmm.
Um, and then what you would do is you are going to use the water of the south water on the vessel in a counterclockwise way. And this is banishing any harm or hurt that the animal or the vessel has endured or experienced, um, or any energy that it has picked up. And then you would bring in the east water and you would do this clockwise to bring in life, to bring in because it's all represented with spring and new beginnings and stuff like that, new life.
Hmm.
You would do blessings over it for the vessels, so air and fire. Um, use herbs to kind of clear and bless this. Um, we're looking at healing and rejuvenation. Sorry, I couldn't my words.
Rejuvenating.
Juju.
Glitch.
It's a glitch in the matrix. Um, and then after this, I really like this too, is that you're going to breathe into the vessel to breathe it into life.
Hmm.
And with this, you want to be very specific of like what you want the familiar for. You want to maybe even put a time limit on it.
Mm,
So that way it already has an expiration date. Um, so that way when its workings is done, they're not quite sitting there and just waiting for you to like, or you don't have to keep up the actual ritual of feeding it and making sure it's got all its needs met. So there's
right,
chance of you forgetting it too. So that would be a really good, like if you needed one just to help you through finals, or you needed someone to help you through buying a house or something, I don't know, something like that, is have an
yeah,
expiration date on it. So then that way it doesn't need to just sit there and wait and get bored.
right.
Um, but I thought that was super cool, and I had not seen anything kind of like that.
Yeah, I haven't either. I think it's a cool ritual to try too, especially if you're
Hmm.
like looking at working with familiars. Now, granted, learn about banishing just in case. Learn it well, because like that's a whole nother episode. Gotta do your research, man.
Well, and it's that whole thing. I suggest where to go. I suggest this book here. This
Consorting
is
with Spirits by Jason Miller.
yes, this one has all of it in very digestible ways, and it talks about what is a spirit, um respect and authorities, prayers and spells, fear and danger, um, friendly conjuring, um, relationships and pack. It just has so much information. Even if you want to like work with your land spirits to like make sure that they're protecting your house and you have a good like defense mechanism on that. They could help you with your garden. They could help you with your land and like making sure that it's pleasant and not so like, so there's benefits of working with them and connecting to them, and there's ways of doing that, and then that way you don't like accidentally like piss them off or anything too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Cool.
um so the next thing I have is the one thing that I when you look up familiar spirit, all of those like Christian people come up and they like, so one of the guys that interprets the Bible that I like to follow was saying that a familiar spirit is really like an ancestral spirit or a ghost. So that's why they would know you so well, is that they've been with your family for so long. It's not necessarily bad or evil. Um But I can see how some people would misinterpret that
Yeah.
because they don't necessarily want to be stared at or followed or like I get it.
Hmm.
But they're not necessarily going to do you any harm unless you're doing something wrong or you're off your path too. And even if you just don't want them, I'm pretty sure you could just be like, okay, get out. Like,
Yeah, I would think so.
but I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, that it,
And that,
especially coming from somebody who interprets the Bible, that's an interesting um thought that it's ancestral, like from somebody who interprets the Bible. It's cool.
yeah, I thought that because I was like, oh, well, that's a total different take on that. I didn't even think that it would be, but it's interesting how evil they're like, don't do it, don't talk to them, don't, that they're evil and they're malevolent and they're, only, they don't have your best interest at heart. And, but these are also the people that talk about not going to mediums for, or astrological people. Hey, 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 that's not nice. We don't like that. Um, they don't necessarily have, I don't know. It's it feels to me more like a very inflamed ego that wants to promote fear is really the energy behind it. Because I just don't feel like it's coming from a good place. And it's never like an educational way. It's always in this very dramatic, like, they are evil and they are this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know. And like every episode that you see, even if the person that's giving you the information is on there, it's always kind of the same, like, what is it, fear mongering.
Yeah, I agree. Gets annoying.
It is, but there's a lot of following behind that.
Yeah,
It's not just one crazy person. Like it's a lot of people. There's books written on this through Christianity and stuff like that too.
interesting.
Hmm. It's
Oh,
very interesting because there's never been talk of like, it's so funny to me because I'm always like, you're calling this not witchcraft. Like I looked up something the other day. Oh, I don't have it with me. I looked up something the other day because we follow the moon right now. And I was looking up the Hebrew word of the moon. And I came across a whole like Jewish ritual where they go out on a new moon and they jump 3 times and they do this certain words and you have to say this and this prayer to the moon, but when you're saying the prayer you're not supposed to look at it and like they've got this like 17 page of Hebrew, like, and I'm like, how do you not call this witchcraft,
yeah. There's
sir?
been things I've been saying like that forever. Taking the blood
Sir,
of Christ,
yeah, blood magic.
the body of Christ,
Yeah,
is a that's not a ritual.
that's not a ritual.
Lighting a candle before you pray,
That's not a ritual.
not a ritual. I'm confused.
Like
I have questions.
I have questions, sir. I have
I
questions.
have lots of questions.
Yeah, so this is why, especially when you're dealing with religion, when you're dealing with energy, when you're dealing with the unseen forces, you want to read multiple sources. You want to do as much, you want to look up as much information as you can so you can see the patterns of what really is going on there. Because what one person says compared to another person says, it's all about their filter. And that's why you want to read multiple sources. Because if I say, just like you were saying earlier about like, oh, this covenant said this was a familiar, when their interpretation of a familiar is kind of slightly different than like this culture and this familiar and all that kind of stuff. But there will be similarities, and the similarities is where we can pick up the truth.
Yes, agreed. As well as
Mhm.
firsthand accounts.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then also, anytime that you work with spirits, you want to be like, you don't, this isn't a, hold on. Uh, you want to have your own, you're not just going to do whatever the familiar says or do, or any, the spirits or an entity. You're not going to just do what they say. You want to have your own like sovereign like being of like, if I was talking to you, you were like, you should go stab that person in the throat, and I'd be like, first I'd be like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. Are you
You're
okay?
like, no, no, really, go over there and say, okay. So if they're telling you to do things that are not what you would say yes to a living human being, then you might want to recheck either who you've got in a vessel or why they're saying that. Like, you want to use your mind too. And because no matter what, if a spirit gets you to do something that may be illegal, it's still you going to jail. The spirit's not going to jail.
What?
Yeah. So like when your friends tell you to drop off to jump off a bridge because they're doing it. We want to actually think for ourselves.
Discretion, critical thinking.
Yes, please bring that because this is where it gets a little watery and it gets exciting too when you're like super like, oh my God, this is so exciting. I have a familiar. Like we are going to go through that honeymoon phase as well. So just be mindful about
Yes. Agreed.
that.
That was very well said. Um, are you good with familiars now? See, Mamacita. Okay, so the next thing that I have is church grams. Because I didn't even know church grams are a freaking thing for a very long time. Had no idea. Um,
Mm-mm.
and I actually found out some really cool stuff this time too. Because I was like, I did not know that. So, church grams are believed to be a guardian spirit that oversees the welfare of like a particular church or protects the churchyard or the cemetery. Because usually most so a lot of times they're all like within the same grounds, right? And they're going to protect against like those who would try to commit sacrilege against it. Basically mean they're going to come and try to fuck up the cemetery or the church. So I don't know, draw
Mm-hmm.
on it, break some stuff. This would be the spirit that would
Grave,
protect from that.
yeah, those grave robbers. Like that was a big thing
Yes.
back then because they would dig them up and get either the
Jewelry.
bodies or jewelry or all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you look up church grims, usually they're often depicted as a black dog. They can take the shape of other animals as well. Again, this is one of those things we're trying to put a human concept around it. So
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, people, if they've seen them, they'll say they saw a black dog, but like there was no black dog really to be found, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
they can take forms of other animals as well.
And animals.
Animals.
And then an enemy.
Um, According to legend, the church grim is a loyal and vigilant protector of the church and its grounds, and it's said to be particularly watchful during the night and it'll bark or growl to alert the living if it senses any danger or intrusions. So it's like gonna give you a warning first. It's gonna be scary as fuck, and you're not gonna know where it came from, and you're gonna usually get the hell out of there. But it's also believed that the church grim has the ability to ward off evil and protect the souls of the departed that are there.
Mm-hmm.
So I found this really cool, like some really cool accounts of this where like one of the accounts suggested that the church grim will like lie on the graves of the recently deceased to protect them from any evil spirits to like basically let them get acclimated. And
Oh,
I was like, oh, I love it. That's so
that's so
cool.
nice. That's
Um,
nice.
in addition to its role in protecting sacred grounds, I also read that the church grims also believed to have a connection to the burial rites. So it said that it's usually present during the burial of the dead and is responsible for guiding the souls of the departed to the afterlife.
That's cool.
Oh, they're so cool. I was like, that's so cute. Um, well, let's see. Oh, burying the black dog.
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard of this. In English folklore, because there's different folklore behind the Grimm. Most are talked about English and Scandinavian.
Mm-hmm.
But in English folklore, it's believed that burying a large black dog at the northern end of a new churchyard would safeguard the souls of like even the first person who was buried there from eternal duty of guarding against the devil's malevolent influence. So basically, by burying that dog, you're giving that graveyard a church grim.
Yeah, the one, but the one I read was that it has to be alive.
Like burying a dog alive?
That was the Nordic one.
Ugh.
I was like, I'm never gonna make one.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
No.
Um, yep. No.
No.
Mm-mm.
No, 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 no.
No,
I mean,
no.
I guess Nordic. I mean,
But of course they
they
also did that, like if you died, aren't they the ones that did they slaughtered a horse and put it in with you so that way you would like have a ride to, or that's Viking. That's Nordic, right? Same thing.
I don't think I know enough to comment the difference. I don't know if Norse and Vikings are the same or very different or what the distinctions would be.
They might be cousins.
Yeah, I don't know enough to comment, but like I all I can think about is like Vikings and the Blood Eagle right now, so and I don't know what that's similar, so have you heard of that?
No.
Oh, yeah. The Blood Eagle is something they did to um basically it's a super form of torture for somebody that it would take also away their rights to get into
Valhalla.
yes. The Blood Eagle's terrifying. Very, very big into the torture.
I think I seen it on God, what was that called? Hannibal, the series.
Mm.
Blood Eagle. Oh, wait.
Oh, it was in
Yeah.
Hannibal, the series. Yes, you sure did see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Holy shit.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Sparing a dog alive, if that's the same thing, it's nothing. Yeah.
That's what a blood eagle is.
I say look it up on your own discretion at your own discretion if you're watching or listening. But yeah, if that's all the
Interesting.
same, burying a dog alive again, nothing, but there ain't no way.
Yeah.
Not in this household.
No.
Nope.
No. I know. I'm good.
Yeah, for real. Um, yeah, overall, the church grim is an important part of English Scandinavian folklore. It's talked about a lot. It's got a big role in protecting sacred grounds and guiding the souls of the departed to the afterlife. Um, and it's become like a really big respected figure in those cultures because of that. Because they care about their dead, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I got on church grims.
That's cool.
Yeah. Do you have anything?
No.
Well, the only other thing, and trigger warning, because we're going to talk about something that could be triggering for Native Americans. It's the W word. And I know like some people really do not love to hear that without the trigger. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I also didn't know a lot about Wendigos.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anything about them?
Um, well, it depends because there's a lot of different like stuff that I've seen. Like it's either a person with a broken heart that changed into a monster. Um, the I know it likes to be in the woods. It likes to don't you're not supposed to whistle because it
Yeah, apparently it's going to find you.
right. But I think that's besides being horrible, that's all I know. I think it smells bad too.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what I read, is that it's a demonic spirit believed by I'm sorry if I to the peoples if I say this wrong, but Algonquin based Native American tribes to it possesses people and turns them into cannibals. Then the
Oh,
term Wendigo or Wendigo is used to describe both the evil spirit as well as the creature that humans can become when they're possessed by the spirit. So, like the monster version of the mythical creature is like human-like. It's the tall and like long, skinny arms and sunken eyes, yellowish, decaying skin. Um, it says they're impossibly thin and have an unending hunger that craves only human flesh. So the best known way to become a Wendigo is through cannibalism. I didn't know that.
interesting.
So it's saying by eating another human being, even out of necessity for survival, that's when it was believed by these tribes that you can be overcome by these spirits and transform into one of these, and that the fear of turning into this creature was so strong that it was preferable to unalive yourself rather than resort to cannibalism to avoid being turned into a creature like that.
No, that's fascinating.
Isn't that wild? So like this would go around the tribes as like when it was really cold, especially in like northern United States and Canada, when it was cold and
Mm-hmm.
food was scarce and like survival was challenging, that was like would go around the tribes as like a folklore they would tell. So like you wouldn't turn on each other. Crazy.
Yeah, because when food is scarce and people get hungry.
Yes. I don't know how I got on that today when I was looking up the other two, but then I saw it and I was like, you know what? I've never really actually looked this up and I only have depictions in my head of what it looks like, but I've never actually looked up like how that even
Oh,
happens.
actually, I think I got a book with Wendigo on it. Um, hold please.
What please? We shall be in waiting. She has a book for just about everything, which is really nice. Comes in quite handy. And she's back. Coming back. Three, two, one, go.
Can't find the hole.
Yes, that worked out great. You are becoming a little bell over there, by the way, in your
Oh,
library of books. I have a book for that.
I'm like, I think I have a book for that. While we, maybe Mountain Forest, Wendigo, Canada. 113. Ha ha ha. Here we go. Is a seasonal subarctic man-eating vampire species. During the winter moon, when food is scarce, there is a fear of the creature. With a cavernous body and face out of an Edward Munch portrait, I don't know who that is,
Me neither.
highlighted with a horrid glare. Oh, sorry, I got sidetracked.
It's okay.
Horrid, glaring eyes. The Wendigo has been described as giants with hearts of ice. Many
Hmm.
who have been in close proximity to them have experienced chills and the sense of their own hearts were freezing over. The Wendigo uses trees as their snowshoes and covers vast distances in a single step. As they travel from victim to victim, blizzards accompany them. Naked and gaunt, the entire species stalks the forests of the north in search of human flesh, lurking silently in the shadows of the trees. tall as the old timbers themselves.
Terrifying.
It does say something about cannibalism in here too. Uh, a Wendigo scream that paralyzes its intended meal.
Wow. Okay.
Um, rips out vital organs in seconds, then packs of indigo have been seen playing catch with human skulls.
Ugh.
Ooh.
Ugh.
A Wendigo can infect a human, and therein lies the unique power suggestion in a double meaning of its name. The root word is Algonquin. Is this Algonquin for both evil spirit and cannibal. So the Wendigo describes both a demon and a way of acting like one. Any person possessed by the cannibal spirit has literally become a Wendigo and it is probably incurable. Some
Hmm.
people choose this transformation, others happen upon it. Uh, the latter cases are caused by being bitten by a vampiric species or a dreaming of a Wendigo.
Interesting. How interesting. I've never looked up what that is or like how it became a thing or anything, and it sounds truly terrifying to be honest.
Well, yeah, I think it's one of those things, especially when you go into the forest. It's one of those places where we haven't tamed anything and it's almost like pure potential out there.
Hey, there's an episode on Supernatural called Wendigo.
Yeah, there's one on Charm too.
Ah, interesting.
So technically, if you had a pet Wendigo, you'd have to find bodies for it.
Technically, yes. You would have to curate food.
Oh, here we go. Dispelling and disarming techniques. The only known way to avert Wendigo possession is to throw excrement at the creature. This confuses it enough for a small window of escape. If that method doesn't work, the next choice is to go immediately to your local shaman. If he can't help, the last resort is to kill the possessed person, cut the body into pieces, and burn it to kill the spirits so that it does not infect other humans or others. Some say that silver bullet can also be affected.
Wow.
Okay, what I'm saying is if you think that somebody's a Wendigo, do not cut them in pieces and burn them. That
I know.
you will go to jail.
Yeah. Go and see Rocky.
Like, oh my goodness gracious. So this is a cool book. This is the field guide to demon, vampires, and fallen angels and other subservient spirits.
Carol K. Mack and is it Dina Mack?
Yeah, Dinah. Yeah. So you could read that too.
Yes. Well, that is all I have for today. Do you have
That
anything
is,
else?
no, that's it. Unless you want me to look up something else in my, I wonder if they have familiars in here. What do they have in here? Let me see. Come with me. They have mermaids.
Come with me and
There's a
you'll
lot of stuff
see
in here that I don't even know. Nixus.
world of pure imagination. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Mountain. There, a lot of this is done in different, um, there's Mesopotamia, there's Japan, there's Norway. So this is like a lot of the, um, from all over the world too. It's not just America. Oh, they have Lilith in here.
Interesting.
Huh. Werewolf, global, huh. Zombie, voodoo. Ooh, the seven deadly sins are in here too.
Ooh,
That's kind of cool.
which we will be
Yes.
doing the seven deadly sins during Halloweeny time.
It also has this one. Pazuzu.
Mm.
That was the demon in The Exorcist.
Oh,
It's Babylonian.
Babylonian.
Yeah, this is a cool book because then it also gives you each one that give you a way of like dispelling and disarming. So if you like monsters, this is a good one.
Yeah, fascinating. Good reads.
Mm-hmm. Admodius. Oh, yeah, this is the seven deadly sins. So we have pride is Lucifer. Um, Mammon, it's adverice. What is this? I don't know what deadly deadly sin this is. Psyche. What's Avarice?
Spell it again.
Avarice.
Avarice? Avarice?
Avarice? Oh, the Lord of money.
Hmm.
Avarice is a worldly sin creating misers, thieves, and even murderers.
Hmm.
Lust is Asmodeus. Envy is Leviathan. Gluttony is Beelzebub. Anger is Satan. Sloth is Belphegor. Hold on. Belphegor. Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-mm.
I'm excited to go into that into depth.
I know. I'm so excited.
Well, dear friends, next week we're talking about the Warrens. Very
Yay.
excited. I do enjoy their stories. Um, yeah. Well, that's what we got for you today.
That's what we got. So, any last thoughts on familiars and other spirits of these types to work with them?
I think the only thing I'd say is to repeat, just do your research, man. Do what feels good to you and do your research
Mm-hmm.
thoroughly. Make sure you feel comfortable. Make sure you understand like what it means for you so that you're not, you know, just listening to us and thinking that you know everything because like, you know, we don't
Well,
know everything.
right, and each thing is going to be individualized, and this is how you do that. The more that you research, the more you can show respect that you did like the work to
Hmm.
conjure the spirit and know what it wanted. Like, it's just like if you were trying to date somebody, you would like find out where their favorite place to eat was, or like what their likes and dislikes are. And to me, that would be very respectful because then you know where the boundaries are in this relationship, and you know how to also please them and keep them interested.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I agree with all that. It's like having a good friend. You want a good friendship, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, if you guys do it, let us know how it goes. We'll be curious.
Uh-huh. I would be curious.
Same. All right, peeps. Well, like I said, we'll be talking about the Warrens next time. Very
Mhm.
excited for that. And again, happy solstice.
Happy solstice.
See ya.
Bye.